Hi, welcome to intention setting. And this is about finding out today if you're doing it right. And I would love to hear in the comments as well different intentions that you guys have set or wishes that have come in. I think it's so lovely to share and to have our beautiful community to affirm to us that when we work with intentions, it's so lovely to hear stories of confirmation of it happening. So thank you for joining us. And Tim, I'm pretty sure you're probably for pre-joining us in the chat and on the afterplay. And we've got Debs here. Thank you for watching as well on the replay. And we've got John and we've got HRT Wisp. Lovely to have you here from Las Vegas as well. So let me just bring up a few things. So I just want to bring up a few little clips and things like that I've got that will really sort of expand and help us to talk about, I guess, the positive outcomes with setting the right intentions. Let me just get my little notes. So there's many different things that we can do that help, I guess, to be aware of when it comes to intentions. So my little notes, what I've written is sometimes having scattered energy, we notice that our intentions become like a little bit less, which means that we're not really like pinpointing and looking into, oh, hey, Bob, lovely to have you here. So yeah, when I think of Eight of Wands energy, it's ruled by Mercury and Sagittarius. And I think of that being we've lost course, so we've lost that true north on the compass. So with intention setting, it's really important to know your north, to know your center, to know your focus. Hey, Ken. So yeah, with this, having unclear intentions, subconscious blocks and doubts are probably the biggest mistakes that we're making. So for an example of like unclear intention, it's that wishy-washy kind of energy. And you've heard me talk about it on a few difference between wanting to manifest a tiny house and a mansion. It's like two things on the opposite side of the spectrum. And so we can't have both at once. We could if we really craft the intention right. It's choosing to zero in and get specific. And as you saw in the show that I did talking about the CIA gateway technique with the Monroe Institute a couple of weeks back, which my internet has definitely been worse since doing that. I've had interesting things happening on my computers. That's not so fun. But essentially we talk about in that episode about laser focus. And this is where getting into the right brainwaves with setting your really helps to magnify and zero you in on attracting that intention into physical reality. So with working with intention, it's our way to harness that laser focus of the mind and your. So this is also really important when it comes to manifestation. Other little things that I've written down here and not so much to do with where we're clouded in that. I didn't want to spend too much time in the focus on what we're doing. So yeah, because I think we've covered that in a lot of other shows. But essentially, let me just check in if there's anything else that Spirit wants me to go over with this. I would say just really being accountable. So for those of you that our 16-hour manifestation challenge, what we learned with that is that we have the power to program and to really kind of override this system. So just as John's saying, it's really about changing your beliefs. So which this can be a lot to do with, are we feeling worthy? Because sometimes self-worth will block a manifestation coming in. So we may either, as a child that we're not worthy of that, or we don't deserve it, or that it's greedy to want, something above what it is that you perhaps had in, younger age. But yeah, that is really, really the other thing when it comes to intentions and things. And let me just bring up, I also want to share with you guys the actual meaning of the word. So when we look into this, you'll see here with the etymology of the word. So late 1400, we see and I cannot pronounce this, so I'm just going to skip that. But we look into the root meaning of the word, and it's by intention really represents purpose, design, aim, or object, to will, to wish, desire, that which is intended. So it comes from the old French word intention, in intent, purpose, aspiration, will, thought, from the Latin word in, and I'm not going to pronounce that, but I found it interesting that they used the word stretching out, because they were looking at putting our intentions out there into the quantum. We're really stretching that energy or intention out. So it says also in Middle English, it's to do with emotion, feelings, heart, mind, mental faculties, and understanding. So I thought that was a really fascinating thing. And I do have a few magical rituals and things as well that I want to share with you today, or how you can kind of like focus or kind of laser point your intention. But before we get into that, I also just wanted to share with you guys, I have on, let me see, this one, I'm trying to work out what day this is. It's my Monday, your Sunday, if you're on the Northern Hemisphere. So this will be Sunday, 7 p.m. So for those of you that want to ask your questions live, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A with our gorgeous soul tribe. So if you have your questions, please bring them to this event that I'm doing online. It's going to be my 9 a.m. on Monday in Australian Eastern Standard Time. And speaking of intentions and spell work and things like that, my beautiful potions are the perfect way to really like zero in and focus your intentions. So I put a lot of magic and energy and also planetary alchemy into some of these I've made. So say, for example, looking into love potion, you'll see here the write-up on this, but we're using affirmation charged with the herbs and charged with intention and the energy that's put into it. So it's another way to like laser in and sort of zero focus and to bring your manifestation in, as is reading the affirmation. So I am magnetic. My heart is open to receiving love. And let me bring up something that I just popped up the other day that I made that was a lot. And there should be sound with this one too. I am my mother's daughter, the one who runs the. So with that, let me play it again one more time. I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot. So hopefully you had enough time to be able to read that. But essentially, why I made this is because why would we choose to drink a tea when we can actually have a tea but infuse it or have a potion instead? So this really is about invoking this sense of magic into your everyday life. And let me just bring up for a screen share. I'm going to go over my notes, make sure we're covering everything. So number one, I would say would be the power of intention is the most important thing. So really like writing, crafting, getting super clear on what it is that you intend to stretch out into the universe, as we were talking before. And with this, so what is your intention? So you might even want to write this down, what I'm talking about now. So go and write down, okay, what is my intention? And would it be to, to experience soulmate relationship energy, abundance? Would it be like a vision quest or connecting with your guides? Might be another intention. And so I'm just basing these because it's really easy to then talk about them. So write down your intention as we're talking about it within this show. And then with like setting your intentions as well, it's really about getting clear and making a decision, because a lot of the time we can sort of have a want, a need, or a desire. So a desire means that like our heart is kind of quantumly entangled and we're really like invested on having that outcome come in, whereas a need represents lack. It represents where that come in as the potential. It's almost like there's an empty wish when we're talking about it, like with a need. Hey, Phil, lovely to see you here. So yeah, with that, you want to make sure you're setting a clear intention. You want to bring it through in terms of like a moment as well. So you want to set that intention as though you already have that. Write down, I like to pick about 5 key anchor words with this when I'm setting in an intention. So definitely, yeah, write this down. When we talk about say, what are 5 keywords that would describe you having that? So I usually use love as an easier way to convey it. So for example, if I'm manifesting my divine counterpart or soulmate, I would be grateful that I'm in a monogamous, committed soulmate relationship. So see how I pick keywords. So monogamous being one, because you don't want that energy to be off otherwhere elsewhere, because like you're on that soul connected level. So really choose things that are I would say specific to you. So committed, soulmate, loving, energies or words that really are around it. Say if we're using this for, and I keep seeing like vision quest energy. So if we're using this for an intention around perhaps having like an astral experience or having like a lucid dream intention and put it into like, yes, so true. So definitely specificity is the key. Hopefully I said that right. Hey, Lynn, lovely to have you here too. So definitely like getting super specific. So if we're using this in terms of like lucid dreaming, it would be stepping into of having it already happen. I'm so grateful that I got to have that incredible spiritual out of body experience, or I'm so grateful that I get to wake up and be conscious and aware within the dream state. And I would add something like that I get to explore my superpowers or my gifts within the dream state. Because sometimes not only do you want to be awake within that, but you want to download information and energy from that as well. So another thing that I've written too is, let me just zoom in on this, is having a look into the energy and the visualization. So I kind of demonstrated it a little bit. So understanding how our energy affects our intentions or our spell work or our intention setting with our potions. So say we've had a crappy day at work and we're coming said, I'm going to make my potion and I'm going to like charge and put this energy in. So sure, there might be power in that sometimes if we're running like, anger or other things, but it is good to do a pre-cleanse or a smudging of your energy before starting like this. So we want to disconnect from other people's negative influence and things. So really a lot of when I'm doing magic, working with potions, I will always do kind of a pre-cleansing ritual. So what I mean by this is just essentially taking a shower, visualizing golden light raining over me, purifying, cleansing, washing anything off that's not of my energy, that's not for me, or anything that could be of ill or negative intention. Hey, lovely Ocean. And we've got Bob here as well. Lovely to see you guys all here. Definitely doing, cleansing work before. So get your intention, find out what it is that you want to work with, cleanse your energy, and then visualization. So really looking into how you can visually bring it through. So for me, the best example that I read anchors and brings things in a lot clearer is, say, for example, if I've got a trip coming up and I'm not sure like whether I'm going to go. I told a few of you around this before, but like I will visualize myself sitting on the plane, hearing like the bells go off, like with the planes, the air that blows in the face. And I just find this is such like a real visceral type way to engage and to embody energy, sort of remember what it feels like to be in certain places physically. So for me, this is something that's a little bit easier to do with like manifestation but you have also like, say if you're manifesting or working with bringing in a new car, it'll be to fully immerse and visualize as much as you can, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and through all of the senses. So say you've got your hands on the steering wheel, and like your intention come into fruition. So you might be smelling the new car smell, you might be touching the fabric or the texture or the leather it is that your car's made of. You might be, looking in the rear view mirror and seeing like your kids in the back of the car. So you really want to like bring this into the visual as much as you can. My other favorite technique is with, say, for example, in your imagination, looking at yourself in the mirror, and I usually will visualize a full length body mirror, and I'll have someone that I love and adore me in this visualization, and I'm explaining to them what happened. So this is another way to really tap further into bringing your intention through visualization and through, really pulling it in as much as you can on an emotional level, because we know that when out there emotionally, this helps to take us out of the particle energy and to start to get into the wave energy. So we're starting to become more of this future potential or quantum potential reality. Thank you, Becky. I love chatting to you guys about these subjects. Really one of my most favorite things to talk about. We have lovely Ben in the house. Hey, Ben, sending love to you and your family. I love what Ocean said. So when you allow more love and gratitude into your life, you attract the right people and you will shine. This is so true. So we don't want to be focused, say, on the negative or the things that are dragging us down or feeling really crappy. We want to put our attention and our gratitude towards the things that are already going right. So say, for example, the car, for example, where we were talking about, sitting and feeling into the new car, you can do this. You don't want to be cursing out the car that you currently have or talking about like all of the things that are going wrong with it. You really want to more be focused on it gets from A to B. It is safe, it is reliable, or maybe you like the color of it, whatever it is, or it fits everyone in the family. So really look at the things that you have, like with your intention. What is it that you can kind of pair or match or correlate that you already have? Say, for example, if it's around like soulmate energy or love, it might be, being grateful for the connections that you already have, whether it's, friends, or whether it's even just being grateful for your beautiful heart that has so much love to give. So this is really important when we're sent to look at the aspects of where we already have this in our lives. And I know sometimes this can be hard, but just try and pick like 5 things. For some reason, I find if we get a charge of 5 things, it's much more easier to bring it in. It builds more of an abundance. And yeah, so when you're doing your cleansing part, this would also be where I'm calling in protection. So and before you do sort of like your magical work, and I've written down like a little process as well for you guys that we'll sort of share in today's. But essentially, protection is also an important part. It's something that I just use daily, whether it's burning dragon's blood or frankly other things that are highly energetically frequency-wise protective. But great question. And type in the chat if you guys have questions. I'll try to answer them as well. So definitely working with like visualization and specifically guided visualization as well. Hey, Becca. Hey, Joe. Lovely to have you guys with us. And Jim, lovely to see you. So yeah, the timelines meditation that I've got. Oh, and it's up. If you guys are on Insight Timer, the meditation app, I'm also a teacher on there. So if you want me in your pocket on a little app, I have my meditations over there as well, and having amazing reviews too, which is, I feel so blessed to have that. So full of gratitude too. So definitely I would say one of the other things is the next bit after you've sort of attention to or like visualized and sort of seen it come about. And I do like to work with it in that way, because sometimes this will like give me like little things that I need to know or work with. So the next step I would do is like crafting the ritual for the manifestation. So essentially, this is where we make more into the physical realm, or we make kind of a portal energy to connect our intention or connect the 5D to bring it in the physical 3D. So it's like we're opening that portal or the gateway into the magic. And great question. So Ocean is saying, what message share with your inner child? So this is actually a great point too. When we were talking at the start around identifying if there's any subconscious blockages and things like that, you also want to make sure, like, is your inner child got any limitations on why they think something wouldn't be possible? How we talked about before, like self-worth, things like that. So you might want to do a little bit of inner child work, healing around your manifestation or gifts. So say, for example, the inner child might have a program when it comes to manifestation, getting what you want. And I always miss out. I never get what I want. So it is important to address the inner child, definitely. So great question. You guys, I love it. So yeah, then it would be around creating your manifestation ritual. So we've done the intention setting, we've done a bit of the vision, what it is that we want. And now we're stepping, and you've done your protection. So now it is into crafting your manifestation ritual. So things like crystals we've talked about before. I wanted to cover also, let me bring up my little window. Sigils. So sigils are magic symbols. Let me just find where I've popped this, which window we have. Okay. Oh, here it is. So this is just on Pinterest. And I thought it was probably the best representation for sigils and things. So say, for example, this is a really beautiful one. So these are sigils or symbols that are used to attract money, to attract love. And we've talked before about also working with, let me just bring up my window a bit bigger, with magical numbers to do with the planet. So I think this was, I'm trying to think if this one, I would need to go and check magic number squares of Venus. I think it might be the Venus one. Essentially, I work with mainly the Venus one, which is connected to do with, and also the Jupiter magic squares. So with your spell work or setting intention for love, you would want to work with Friday energy, because Friday is the day of Venus. With abundance and money, which you guys in the States, and today is your Jupiter day. So Thursday is the day of Jupiter. So this, if you can ideally like wait to do your magic on this, and for example, if you're bringing something in, you want to be doing it leading up to the full moon, or specifically on the full moon, or if you can, so, days that are charged with power. Yeah, I'll bring these back up in a second. So the sigils are quite at holding focused intention. The other thing that you also want to do is work with the energies of whatever it is. So with the love potion, heal a broken heart potions, I've really based those around Venus energy. You too, Jean. Thank you, Lorianne. Yeah, it's a little bit like it's going to perhaps rain soon. So I think some of the birds are finding a hiding place. But let me bring back up these symbols for you guys. And also with creating, you don't have to just look at these sigils that I've got here. You can actually create your own. So sometimes you'll see, and probably better to Google this, it was a little bit more in depth. I thought about explaining exactly how to create it. And I thought you guys are probably better to have a look on how do I create my own sigil in a Google session after, because there's a few different ways to create it. But essentially what you're doing is writing your affirmation, and then you can cancel out any vowels, you cancel out and put a line through any of the repeated letters, and then you write your leftover letters that are left at the end of that underneath, and then you incorporate those. So say, for example, it is the word love, and we take out the vowels. I'm dyslexically having a moment, so it would be to take out two. So we would be left with the L and the V. So then we would be incorporating the L and the V to make a symbol. So you can draw it into any shape or format, but remember that it is better if you're super clear and specific, choosing 3 to 5 words to help pull that intention in. But yeah, you can use sigils like that. that. There's also with like the magic number squares, there'll be sigils that go with the magic number squares. And essentially it's just drawing over the magical pattern and the number sequence that will produce things like that. The other thing that you can use is a sigil deck. And the reason I'm linking sigils is because they really do help us to focus that intention. And we see, I'm trying to think of the name of it that's used specifically. I think it starts with an F. Let me type in and bring up a picture to show you guys, because runes can also be used. So I'm just in the rune for abundance, and Fihu. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but let me just share this little window with you guys. So this, for example, would be drawing a rune. This little symbol here, if you don't want to work with like creating your sigil, you can draw runes to help like with your intention. So these are just beautiful little cards that have some of these little, little ones on the back. Let me just see what one we've got come out. Oh, we've got the card of strength come out. So you can see here, this little symbol for strength in some of the sigil cards. So if you have a deck of sigil cards, it might not be that you're actually drawing your sigil. You might want to pull one out. This is, again, about creating your own ritual. So it doesn't mean that you have to follow something specifically, but say for this, this little one, and let me bring this one up a little bit bigger. Okay. Oh, not letting me click on it. But yeah, with Fehu, you see it's the line with two with the other antenna type lines on it. So with this one, you can actually draw with like a little a marker or a texter. You can actually draw that symbol on your left hand, because your left hand is what you're bringing in. So this is to do with like abundance, material gain, and wealth. So you can also use this as part of like your intention. It's just a really great way to help to kind of pinpoint and focus this. And let me also show, the next thing, I've got two videos I'm excited to show you guys about, but let me stick to the intention for the meantime. I'll just stop this screen share for a moment and bring up my other window. So yeah, definitely creating your ritual. So say for working with love and things, you can also work with wands. And this is just to focus your intention. So essentially when you're meditating, when you're sitting there with that, or you can use some other kind of like a pointed crystal, what you've got on hand. You don't have to go buy something specifically. Hey, Larissa. So yeah, you could use something. It really just is to focus your intention. And even when we look into magical wands, and let me just go grab one to show you. So with magical wands, and if you've ever seen Harry Potter, you know that they just use a wooden wand. So what a wand is actually used for is just to focus your energy. For about with the CIA gateway technique from the Monroe Institute and the review that I did on that, essentially we want to create laser point focus. So a wand is specifically just used to create your laser, to channel your energy or perhaps build the charge, and this wand is used to release it. So this is mainly played with one of my kids who loves to tap on all of the crystals and do some magic with it. So cute to watch her do that. But yeah, so that would be how you can also focus or harness this intention. So having a look into the candles, this is something you'll be able to find online, depending on like what your intention is. So say if it is love energy, lighter pale pink would be more to do with self-love or kind of love on a friendship level even. But if you're also doing more kind of like passion work, you would want like a medium tone pink. If it's sexual energy, you'd be using red. So essentially, I like to pick the mid-level because you want both love and passion together. So the other thing too is it's important not to sort of like enforce what it is, like into like seeing and visualizing what you would love to come about, but we're never hijacking anyone's free will, and we're never sending ill or negative intentions out to anyone either. This is really about creating and feeling into your emotions and your charge around this. So we've got terrible internet at the moment. Advanced on the first, they're putting fiber internet here in Melbourne. So hopefully it's fixed soon. So it could be on my end. So other thing that we talked about is crystals. So picking a crystal that's specific to it. So I have more that I like to put a little magic number grid down, then a candle or crystals and things like that around. But I also like to write out my little intention. And sometimes at the end of burning the candle, you can also light that dissolve. Herbs are another big one. So picking your potion that matches the best, like with your intention, and again, like infusing the intention into that potion. So holding it, putting that energy in water, and liquid absorbs intention, or we see it, like with the Dr. Emoto work and with the patterns and things that are formed of little water crystals. Yeah. So definitely, and you might want to have a special space in your house that you dedicate towards doing this. The other thing that's super important too is before you're actually sort of speaking your words of intention or focusing and channeling that energy, we don't want to kind of fill from an empty jar or channel energy if we're not feeling anything, if we're feeling flat. So you want to do things that are energy building before doing any intention work in this kind of spell way. So whether it's dance, like in nature, doing something to really like invigorate and channel and bring like a sense of radiance and power into yourself before speaking your words. So let me see what else we've talked about: the planetary influence, intention, and then putting it into a magical verse. So say, for example, you get your words or affirmation that you wish to speak. It's fun and quite powerful if you put it into what seems to be like a little rhyme verse. So have a look at if you could create something like that. The other thing too, in terms of something that will help to continue to carry this out, would be to listen to subconscious reprogramming work. So we've talked before about, and this might answer your question too. So Lorianne said, does speaking positive mantras help prepare? Definitely. So any kind of work that you could do, I love, whether it's the robotic repetitive affirming like we've done as part of Alchemy, that really helps to kind of override things and reprogram. The other thing too, with the ones that you listen to at night and you've got them soaking into your subconscious, you're actually doing deep work when you're in more of like a sleep brainwave state. So that's getting in past that filter, past that that negative left brain that will be pushing it out, saying, hold on a minute, that's not part of my reality. So yeah, those things can really help, and as well as doing the positive mantras too. So the next thing that I've also written is having a look at the magic of your words. So this is really where putting it into a verse, and I can't think of any rhymes off the top of my head. And with videos, all of my meditations that I have available and up, whether you're on Insight Timer or YouTube or my website, all of them have binaural beats recorded into the background. So good to know if you're timeline jumping, listen to mine, and it also has this. And I have been toying with the idea of making an 8-hour one, and I think I've maybe just come up with a formula how to make it. So yeah, definitely looking at the magic of your words. You always want to be choosing in the positive, affirming, and present situation when you're working with your intention as well. So I would be using sometimes the word of now to really call it in. I don't want to be thinking just about like future, or if I'm thinking about future self, I want to be tapped into that energy as though I'm her right now and I'm reflecting on it. So you can even like write up a little story of what it feels like to have achieved all this. Guys, just ignore the spammer that we've had just join us on Facebook. That's going to be deleted later anyway. So just ignore that. You guys know that I only take bookings from mysolrita.com, and also that links to Maison Jupiter. So all my bookings go through masonjupiter.com. So yeah, I will never approach you guys and say, hey, do you want a reading, you guys know where to book. So yeah, so definitely words, crafting your affirmation, and also like really, if you're doing this with a best friend, this can also be extremely powerful. So say you're working your intention or you're picking a moon phase and you want to get together, it's that power of a few of you also doing it. And what I like to do for, say, if a best friend is telling me about like what they desire or what they're intending, I will always say, if it's something that I feel that's like really good for them, and that I'll be like, I'm going to hold my intention that is already done, that's what I see for you. So you can also work with friends in that way, or family. The other thing too is also when we're reciting our affirmation or your little rhyme. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Ben. I'm going to have to check that. Sounds cool. Oh, thank you, Lorianne. So Lorianne has a little rhyme. I am blessed for success, anointed, healthy, and content. So it is. I love that. And you might want to end your phrase just how Lorianne has with, and so it is, or blessed be, or mote it be. The other thing too is the word abracadabra used to, which is I make that visible, or essentially you're anchoring that energy into the physical. You're wishing about it coming into our physical reality. So it's to make the unseen visible, or to make it real, is the intention or the meaning behind those words. Might not be describing it 100% accurate, but essentially off the top of my head, that's what I remember about those words. And so the other thing too is letting go. There is a point where you've done, your intention, you've set it out there, you've lit your candle, you've said your rhyme or your little verse and things like that. Then you want to let it go. It's like set it and forget it too. So you can still listen to the subconscious reprogramming and things as you're calling it in, saying your affirmations, but you don't want to be obsessed. It's like putting a cake in the oven. And now it's time to step back and let the oven do its work. Step into the net of the universe. And now it's time for the universe to bring like that harvest for everything that's coming in that net that you've cast out. So it's time to let the fish come into the net, or your manifestation come into the net, let go of it. Because if we're checking the oven every 5 minutes, we're actually saying to the universe and putting our attention on, why hasn't it happened? It's not happened. And then we're going to get more of that. So you want to be more affirming. I'm so excited that it is on. Excited that I'm in this energy of, gratitude that it's already done. So you could even say that it's already done. It's already done. It's already done. And there is something about holding that intention with doing things in threes. Usually be saying my manifestation in threes. Also, recognizing the signs is another way to know that your intention or your manifestation is on the way. So whether it's signs of seeing other people that have, I usually will say if them then me. So little things like that can be really good. Sometimes feathers, sometimes numbers, things like that. Let me know your experience of where you have had an intention or a manifestation you've worked with. If you guys want to share a little bit in the comments, I would love to read them. And it also helps to bring through confirmation as part of our community that we are working in the quantum in this way. So it doesn't have to necessarily be something that, say, for example, you put a lot of spell work into, but it might just be like, I wanted to call this in and it happened. And if you want to pop down what is the biggest reason for something happened like this. Oh, yes. So this is what we talked about. Where is it? Oh, I love that, Larianne. So here's how I start my day. I'm happy, I'm healthy, I am wealthy. And more should be. That is a beautiful way to start the day. I love that. And a good way to set that energy up too. And Emma's saying, I like it will happen in no time, because then that's super important. As humans in the three, we are so attached to impatience. And you can take impatience, the flower essence, if you need some patience or you need to kind of like trust that things will come about. That's a really great one for helping us unentangle it and patient. Hey, Lisa, lovely to have you here. So yeah, really, this can happen in no time at all, because sometimes we attach or we think that things will take 5 years or something like that. Yeah, have a look into, if you have time restrictions on thinking that something will take a certain amount of time, really have a little meditate around why you believe that, and have a look or a chat with your subconscious mind. And this is again out in the CIA show that I did with the gateway technique. We need something to quieten a hypnotic or a binaural beat, or a whole brain approach to quieten that logic mental mind, because we want to over creative. So you might even want to listen to a few binaural beats, or my timeline meditation, or the alchemy meditation, which is also used for manifestation. That would be a perfect one. It's only a 15-minute one. You might want to incorporate that into part of your realm, because we need something to quieten that bit of our mind that is the disbeliever, to tap into the creative, because the creative has this idea of anything is possible. So as much as we can get into that, the better. So next, so we talked about recognizing signs and things like that. Yeah, type below if there was something that you guys have manifested, and the feeling of what it felt like, or what it was that made it come into being. So yeah, and with my things that I've manifested, for the things that I've really intended, there's been where I've scrubbed out any uncertainty. So it's getting really certain around the, so as much as you can create that charge or energy around feeling it already being fulfilled, that's where I see my manifestations come much further into the physical 3D. So it is a lot of fun. Oh, hey, Whitney. So yeah, the next thing would be what we talked about, I guess, to really kind of summarize. So we talked about using candles, using magical numbers, harnessing planetary influence, crafting your intention, definitely working with lighting the candle, working with herbs, the potions. And I can see Bob saying about her experience. Thank you for sharing, by the way. So this really helps community to bring these things into fruition, because when we receive affirmations of other people doing it, it just tells our subconscious that we can do it too. So Barb is saying, I wrote everything I had to have in acreage symbols on it. I read it every day and I had a vision of it. It arrived exactly as I asked for. So thank you so much for sharing. We're happy for you too. And we're so lucky to have such a gorgeous community that, if Bob, then us. And that's the sort of mentality or the mindset to have with this. I think where people are stuck in jealousy is stuck in, I don't feel that's part of our community, but we do see it, with other people. Oh, that is so lovely, Lorianne. So Lorianne says, I say anointing prayers over my husband's clothes and bless the works of his hands and feet when I iron his clothes daily. Oh my gosh, she's such a beautiful wife. That's so sweet. I love that. So yeah, that's a little recap on things, but have a think through the week where it is that you've really wanted something to come about, and it's happened either or even better. So sometimes, and I love that, how we all support each other. Yeah, it's so awesome, isn't it, that she did that. So, oh, and Emma is saying, I find smaller things are easier to manifest over bigger items. Definitely, because it starts to show evidence too. So I love to play with the one around, and this is so funny. I think it speaks probably so much of how much I love food. But I will manifest food. So whether it's planting the seed or thought, so it's fun to play with your partner. So I'll step in. In the past, I'll step into this creation or this energy of saying in gratitude, oh my gosh, I wanted a coffee. That was exactly what I was thinking. And I step into this energy of it already happening and feeling and drinking it. And then my partner will be like, hey, I got you a coffee. So I've been able to do that many, many times, as well as other things, or influencing energetically my parents to have like a certain type of dinner. I remember, and this is so funny, wishing on my Care Bear. So, you know, for those of you that had Care Bears, they have like a little bottom of the Care Bear, and I used to focus my intention and send this energy of it coming in and feel and visualize and be tasting whatever it is that I wanted. So yeah, we don't realize as kids we innately know how to work with this. Thank you, Ocean. It's so beautiful. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Think about how you would have manifested as a kid. I also used to make potions all the time as a kid too. So, you know, tell like wonderment as you're creating this. Don't be stepping into that it has to be like super, super serious as well. So yeah, that is a lovely way to work with it. And what else have I written? So yeah, I would like in our next video, if there's anything you manifest between now and next week, even if it's little things, play around with, you know, the coffee. Another one of my favorites is to play around with bliss bowls. I love smoothie bowls. So a smoothie bowl that I don't have to make, because you guys know that I make them. So I love it sometimes when people make them for me, or if, you know, I'm invited out for smoothie bowls and things like that. Are cute. So another fellow here with us, so Mel, I used to make potions too. So yeah, it's something innately that's ingrained in us, I feel, whether it's from other lifetimes or just being immersed in this beautiful spirit of nature that we are organically born into, super connected with the elementals and with Becca. I can so visualize you as a kid making potions. You would have been adorable. So let me check in. What else? Oh, that's right. I wanted to show you guys a it's gonna have to reshare my screen so we can get the sound example of manifestation and intention setting. So this is one by Greg Braden. Let me see which one we have first. I'll play this one first. This is beautiful. So this one is how to perform a Native American rain prayer. So a few of you would have seen this, I believe. This is something one of my gorgeous teachers shared with us in college as well.
So he said, would you like to join me to offer a prayer of rain? And I didn't have to think twice. I said, you bet. And I met David, and we hiked into this place and prepared for what I saw. As an Anglo, as a Westerner, I expected to see some chanting, some kind of ceremony, maybe some dancing. And what I saw was David. He sat on the ground. He took off his old work boots. He unlaced them and put them outside the circle. He stepped into the circle with his naked feet on the ground. He closed his eyes. He honored all of his ancestors. He honored the directions, all 6 of them. And then he closed his eyes with his hands in a prayer mudra over his heart, just for a few seconds. This is outside of the town of Taos, New Mexico. It's the nearest city of any size. And he looked at me. He opened his eyes and he looked and he said, I'm hungry. You want to get a bite to eat? And he was inside the circle. And I said, well, yes. I said, but I thought you were going to pray for rain. And looked at me, and what he said has stayed with me so powerfully for so long. It's helped so many people when they think about how this prayer works. He looked at me and said, no. He said, if I prayed for rain, rain could never happen. He said, because the moment I pray for rain, I have just told the universe that rain does not exist here. The moment I pray for it to happen, I'm acknowledging that it's not here now. And I said, well, if you didn't pray for rain now, I said, when you close your eyes, what did you just do? And he said, when I closed my eyes, he said, I felt the feeling of what it feels like when it rains in my Pueblo village. He said, I felt the feeling of what it feels like. My naked feet in the mud, and the mud is there because there's been so much rain. He said, I smelled the smells of what the rain smells like when it rolls off the earthen walls from our Pueblo, and I felt what it would feel like to walk through the corn that's this high against my naked chest, and it's this high because there's been so much rain to grow the corn. And then I give thanks of gratitude and appreciation for the rain that has already happened. By the time I got back onto my land, something began to happen that we hadn't seen in a long time. Big black clouds of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. It started to rain. and it rained. And it rained and rained and rained. It rained all that night. It rained the next morning. It rained the next afternoon. It rained and rained. It rained so much. The ground was so dry, it couldn't absorb the rain. And everything flooded. Fields were flooded. Cattle were stranded. Roads were washed out. And I called my friend on the phone. I'm just going to share this with you. I called my friend on the phone and I said, David, man, this is a mess. I said, what is happening? And he was quiet just for a moment. And he said, Greg, that's the part of the prayer our ancestors could never. He said they could tell it to rain, but they couldn't tell it how much.
Isn't that incredible? I think I might have just disappeared for a moment. My internet seems to be like lower, so sorry if it's glitching out. They've put the line in towards the house. Now they've just got to connect the dots. And Ben, I love that. So Ben's saying, my cauldron was my dad's wheelbarrow. So that is hilarious. So yeah, really powerful though. You can see exactly like what Greg Braden was talking about. We need to feel it. We need to immerse our feet in that land with the mud, with the water, smell the rain, feel it like on the crops on your head. As much as you can bring it in this way, that is how we change and impact reality. So you've got to first feel it and put it into the quantum, as I say on nearly every show. So have a look at how that would feel for you to do that and how you could apply that with your intention and your magic that you're working with. Now, this other one of Greg Braden's that I want to share with you guys is so important when it comes to healing. And a few of you may have seen this as well, but I didn't want to leave this off. This is another TikTok one. So let me pop this up.
That time to see some video footage of the healing of a 3-inch diameter bladder cancer inside the body of a woman who, by Western medical standards, had been diagnosed inoperable. She had gone as a last resort to a medicineless hospital in Beijing, China. It was in this medicineless hospital where they began simply by addressing the life-affirming ways that she could change how she was living her life. They taught her life-affirming ways to breathe and life-affirming ways to nourish her body, gentle movements to stimulate the energy centers in her body. And as she was doing these and strengthening her body, at one point it made sense to undergo a process. The feeling world inside of our bodies has a direct effect on the world beyond our bodies. So in the video documentation, the film shows a woman lying on in a hospital room. She's fully awake, she's fully conscious, she believes in the process that's about to happen. Before her, there is an ultrasound technician who is running an ultrasound wand over her lower abdomen that we can see on a split screen television. And on the left-hand side of the screen, they do a snapshot, a freeze frame of an instant in time for reference, so we can see what her condition looked like in that instant in time. On the right-hand side of the screen, we are able to watch real time as 3 practitioners stand behind her, working with the energy in her body and with the feelings in their bodies. And what they do is they begin to chant a word that to them they've agreed upon, that reinforces the feeling within them that she's already healed. The chant essentially says already healed, already done. And as they begin to have this feeling and to say these words among themselves, on the computer screen, on the television screen, we can watch in real time this cancerous tumor as it disappears in less than 3 minutes real time. It's not like time lapse on a documentary where you see a rose unfold in 30 seconds in something that normally takes days. This literally happens in less than 3 minutes. The body responded to the feelings of the practitioners who were trained to have the kinds of feelings that they were having.
So yeah, another great example of how our intention is so important, but we've got to put it on the end result and we've got to put it on the desired outcome. And yeah, I agree, Ocean. It's so beautiful. And I love it that it's people working together to help heal too. And Lorianne, this is so true. So we are all magical beings. One day we will operate from that acknowledgement. And, this is what we're building here. We're starting to remember a lot of what I'm talking about are things that we actually can do, but we've just forgotten. So this is such an important show, and I didn't realize until putting it all together and being here in the energy with you all exactly what it would feel like. But I feel like this has been a very important show, perhaps. A different sort of energy to some of the others, but I just want you to think about how powerful you guys are and how we actually really do create our own reality. And just as Lorianne was saying as well, one day we'll acknowledge this. So I think if we start to practice now, imagine where we'll be in no time at all. So yeah, really important. Let me share this with you as well. Just going to bring up my window. Oh, and I was thinking about perhaps creating another event, because for those of you that came to the 16-hour manifestation event, which we just did the first little meditation together, and then we all did our own affirming after, but it was so much fun to get together on a soul level and to chat face to face. So I'm thinking of creating another kind of event, but let me know if you have any ideas around, or if there's anything that I can sort of make a container for, and then give you guys a link to do or a manifestation. I want to remind you that we have the live psychic tarot readings that will be on your Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, or my Monday, 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And really important with today's show, let me just find if I've got it up here. The meditation that I put up the other day, oops, my internet is not, my windows are not set up for it, but it's the alchemy one. So have a look into the alchemy meditation. And I also want to remind you that I have readings too. So if you would like a little bit of a more refined practice around what it is that you can do, or if there's any blocks that you need help like with removing around any of this work that we've talked about today, this would be like in a mystical oracle session. We can dive into this a little bit deeper. And you see here that I do look into your aura, what's around you. There's examples here of some gorgeous auras that we've put up on masonjupiter.com. So let me just check if there's any questions. So Mel, oh, that would be great. I was unable to participate in the last one as I was away visiting family. So I think I sent the private video link for you to watch the little thing on it. Let me know if you didn't receive it. Just send me a message at the Soul Alchemy Potions or info@Soul Alchemy Potions, and I can resend it. Let me just see if there's any. Oh, awesome, Ken. Yeah, so it was so lovely seeing everyone. So, and I'm sorting out the glitches with the technology and things like that. And I can see Becca saying, for our manifestation, I was repeating, I manifest abundance with my art and business to help heal myself and others. The next day I went into the shop and my art sold 6 prints, Becca. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. That is incredible. And a clear example of how, with working with manifesting our intention and repetitively affirming, that we can override and collapse other timelines that maybe we had. Thank you, Barb. I love reading for you too. I love reading for our gorgeous community. And it's so nice to reconnect with a lot of soul family that we've had other lifetimes with. But yeah, Becca, we're all celebrating for you. And you're so welcome. Let me see if there was anything else. Oh, that's so cool, Ocean. So the moment you start watching your thoughts, a higher level of consciousness becomes activated. So true. And thank you, Lisa. Say hi to your family as well. But yeah, we're definitely remembering. So I can't read out all of your comments, but yeah, definitely. I agree with so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And yeah, can't wait to hear how your manifestations go through the week. And yeah, definitely check out the alchemy one. I can see Larissa saying, love the alchemy meditation. Just did it this evening. You're so welcome, beautiful. All right, have a wonderful week. And I will see you for some readings very, very shortly.